Welcome back. We are continuing the Art of Teaching series. Authenticity when teaching is the next topic. As teachers, sometimes it feels like we are on stage for 8 hours every day. We are doing our best to be the best teachers we can be. To the point that sometimes we never let students see who we really are. Well, performing a role is hard to do for 180 days a year. It can lead to burnout. Let's take a look at some options to demonstrate authenticity and avoid burnout. All right, so let's jump right into authenticity when teaching, part of our Art of Teaching series. So we're going to have an overview, key traits and strategies, benefits and examples, and then we'll look at some keys to remember. So what does authentic teaching mean? It means being genuine and relatable in the classroom. You're not trying to perform for the students. You're just being yourself and using your natural abilities and humanistic approaches in order to conduct the class and relate to the students, right? You teach with integrity. You build real connections and you create safe learning environments. So, understanding who you are as the teacher and just being yourself and using your natural gifts and skills in order to communicate what it is you're trying to get students to learn. So why does it matter? It increases engagement, it builds trust, it improves classroom culture, and encourages participation. Think about it from an adult standpoint. Okay, you meet a new person and immediately, you get a sense of, oh, that person's faking, or, oh no, that person is genuine. We make those decisions on a regular basis, right? And we decide how we're going to deal with people as a result of understanding if they're, performing for us or if they're being genuine. Students have the same ability. They are humans. They have the same ability to decipher between, performance and authenticity. And we're in the classroom with them for multiple hours a day, for 180 days a year. It is very hard to keep up a performance. And it's very hard for students to deal with, a performance when they understand you don't really mean what it is you're saying. You don't really care. And it's not because you said you care. I can tell by your behaviors that you don't care. So what you're saying doesn't match up with, what you're doing. There's an old saying, their handshakes not matching their smile, right? You can feel, you're not really concerned. This is just a job for you. This is just something, you're just trying to check off the boxes. Kids can feel these things. And in contrast, kids can feel when people have a genuine interest in them. They genuinely want them to learn. They genuinely have a passion for them learning. So that's why it matters. So what's the purpose of authentic teaching? You want to foster relationships. We talked about in previous videos how if there's no relationship, there's really no learning, because that person that you're trying to teach doesn't trust you enough to listen to what you're saying. You create emotional safety, by being authentic. Kids understand you have a genuine care. You know what? I'm more inclined to open up emotionally to you and share some of the things that are going on with me so you can understand why it is I am or I'm not performing. You inspire motivation and you help support student identity. So key traits of authentic teaching: honesty. I'll give you an example. I taught high school English for years. And let's say we were going over grammar and kids are like, why we gotta learn this? This is so, oh my gosh, this is too much. And I would tell them, honestly, look, people are going to judge you by the way you speak and the way you write. They're going to determine opportunities for you simply because of the way you communicate with the English language. So if you have a good grasp of it, you can increase your opportunities. Then they would say, why we gotta read Romeo and Juliet? Because it's part of the curriculum. Somebody said that it was a classic. We're going to take what we can from it, but it's part of the curriculum. We got to get through it. Then we can go back to the stuff that, really matter. Yes, absolutely. I'm honest with the students. Like it or not, I'm honest with them. And I have the empathy and understanding to know, as an educator, hey, you know what? Not everybody's going to have a good day every day. 180 days, they're going to be off. I have to have the empathy and the authenticity as a teacher to understand, you know what? Today's not your day. Don't make it a big deal. Consistency. It's easy to be consistent when you're just being yourself. It's when we try to perform and overdo it, as the kids say, doing too much, that's where the inconsistency comes. So being authentic is consistent. You're self-aware. You understand, hey, I might need to improve in this. I'm good here. You're aware of your abilities, your strengths, your weaknesses. And then humility. Hey, I made a mistake. I apologize for it. Can we move on? Genuinely, you acknowledge your mistakes and you understand, hey, I don't know everything. I'm not supposed to know everything. Nobody is, right? So it's not that, you're sitting there, oh my goodness, I don't know. No, if I make a mistake or if I don't know, I'm humble enough to say, hey, I don't know, let me find out. Or, hey, Charles, I made a mistake. I overreacted with you, talking during class. I didn't need to go off like that. I apologize. Can we try it again tomorrow? Authenticity versus perfection. Nobody's asking teachers to be perfect. Okay, you're not going to be perfect. So get that out of your head. It's not going to happen. Not because we don't want it to happen, but it's just not reality. You're going to grow and hopefully you continue to grow, but you're never going to be perfect. And that's okay. Students understand that. You understand that. But acknowledging that is authentic and students can relate to that. Students value connection over perfection. Hey, you know what? Mr. G, he's not the best teacher, but I connect with him. He doesn't know everything, but you know what? He is genuinely concerned about me performing well and me having a successful life. Authentic teachers admit mistakes. We just talked about that. And authentic teachers learn alongside students. There's some times where, you know what? Hey, I'm not familiar with that. Explain a little bit more. I learn things from students. Maybe it's about their culture. Maybe it's about the experience they had that I never experienced. We can learn together. So what are some considerations when focusing on being authentic? You maintain professional boundaries. At no point thus far in the presentation or intro have we said you need to be these kids' friends. Absolutely not. Because once you become their friend, they are going to treat you like one of their friends. Okay? So you maintain the professional boundaries. You maintain the professional boundaries. Students used to get on me because for the first 2 months of the school year, I'm straight business. And slowly but surely I would let my personality out because it was a privilege. I was being authentic. I don't just share, my inner workings with anybody. That's a privilege. So those students that demonstrated the ability, to handle that, I would share that with them. I would, but I maintained those boundaries. I didn't have to constantly say, I'm in charge, I'm the authority. Absolutely not. My father told me when I was younger, a grown man doesn't walk around talking about he's a grown man. People know he is by the way he conducts himself. And that's the same thing I did in the classroom. I don't have to tell you I'm the authority. My actions are going to show you I'm the authority. Okay? You become culturally aware and you balance authenticity with leadership. By demonstrating authentic behaviors, you are leading the way, you're modeling the way. Okay? So when we look at strategies for being authentic, some of these strategies you may identify with. If you don't identify with the strategies you see listed, go find strategies that identify, that you can identify with. That's part of the authenticity. If there's nothing up here, you're like, I'm not doing any of that. It doesn't resonate with you, find some other strategy. But it needs to be genuine to you, right? So anyway, we're gonna learn students' interests. I'm gonna be with you for a while. Let me learn your interests, build that relationship so I can incorporate it into my instruction. And we can try to pull on some of the things that, are of interest to you. Use humor naturally. If you don't crack jokes on a regular basis in your personal life, don't try it in the classroom. That's not you. Okay, cool. But if it's natural, we're not talking about belittling people or, bullying people or anything like that. Humor coming naturally from you, cool. That's what I do in the classroom. Some of my colleagues are like, oh no, that's not me. Cool. You listen actively. You're actually listening to what students are saying, right? And you reflect on your teaching practices. At the end of the class, at the end of the day, I'm saying, okay, what went well? What didn't go well? Where can I improve? I'm constantly reflecting because I want to get better. That's authentic. Building relationships through authenticity, right? So you greet students daily. We talked about the threshold technique. Celebrate growth. Encourage student voice. So flip the script. You as an educator, you walk into the building every day and nobody greets you. Nobody says your name. Nobody greets you. You're just another person walking through the door. How does that make you feel? Or let's talk about celebrating growth. At the beginning of the year, all your students were on, you're teaching an 11th grade class and all your students are on the 9th grade level. But by December, they get to a 10th grade level. You want to celebrate that, right? But everybody's looking at you like, so what? How does that make you feel? Or you're in a meeting. Everybody's, sharing their opinions, but your voice doesn't get heard. How does that make you feel? Now come back into the classroom. Come back into the classroom and be authentic and honest with yourself. How will it impact students if I greet them daily? How will it impact students and make them feel if I celebrate their growth? How will it feel for them if I allow them to have a voice in what we do in this classroom? What does it mean to have authentic communication? Active listening. If you are formulating the response while the person is talking, you're not actively listening. Okay? Enough said. Respectful feedback, whether it's written or oral, doesn't matter. It may be nonverbal as well. Give respectful feedback. Hey, I like what you're doing here. Here's where we can improve. Or if you're trying to get to this, we're going to need to improve this, and this. Okay? And encouraging dialogue. When you have genuine relationships with students or anybody for that matter, when you have genuine relationships, dialogue comes more natural. So what are the benefits? Let's look at the teacher benefits. You have reduced stress. You're not trying to perform for, 7 to 8 hours a day, 180 days a week. 180 days a year. That's stressful. So just by saying, you know what, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do my very best. And I'll improve as I go along. Just by doing that, you relieve a boatload of stress. And by doing so, you start to see authentic relationships occur. Students are more engaged with you, and you have greater job satisfaction. And you have stronger classroom relationships. What are the benefits for the students? They have emotional safety. There's nothing like the safety of knowing a person genuinely cares for you. Imagine trying to share your flaws or your insecurities with somebody doesn't care. Yeah, they say they care, but you can tell that they don't, right? So by being authentic, students feel emotionally safe in your classroom. You have increased engagement because now you've removed that fear of, oh, what if I get it wrong? They're going to go off or this, that, and the other. No, my teacher is genuine. They understand that mistakes are a part of learning and they're not going to ridicule me for my mistakes. They're going to show me means and ways to improve. And then as a result, their efficacy is improved as well. They will have improved confidence. So what are the benefits for the school? You have improved culture, reduced discipline issues, and a greater sense of belonging. So how can being authentic impact achievement? You have higher motivation. You're making genuine connections with students. You're fostering their engagement, and they are more motivated to perform. They are more likely to attend class simply because, that's a safe space. My teacher really cares about me. This is who they are. They show me that, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be present, and we can move forward. And then obviously you have improved participation. And when the times get rough, I know I have a source because my teacher genuinely and authentically cares for me. We can push through the rough times. So what are some implementation examples? So these things have very little to do with academics. It's just about fostering relationships and being authentic in fostering those relationships. You may look at some of these and say, that's not my thing. Cool. Pick the ones that work for you and do those. Okay, so we have morning meetings, goal setting discussions, collaborative learning, reflective journaling, emotional check-ins, real world discussions, advisory circles, student-led conversations. Any one of these or any combinations of these can foster that authenticity, because now you're having, human to human dialogue in regards to the teacher-student relationship or the teacher-class relationship. Pick one or two. Pick one, try it out, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, pick a different one, try that one. If it does, keep that one going, add another one to it so you can break up the monotony so it's not the same thing over and over again. So how do authenticity and classroom culture go together? When the teacher is authentic and fosters authenticity in the classroom, you have more respectful environments. I'm going to respect you as the instructor. You respect me. I'm going to respect you as a student. And in turn, you respect me as the instructor. We're good. Foundation is respect, right? And we're going to treat each other with that same respect. You have a more inclusive classroom. People don't feel ostracized and isolated. And you have more student empowerment. Think about when we talked about students having a voice. If they know, hey, Dr. G, next week, instead of Romeo and Juliet, I have this other novel, that might be of interest to the class. Could we try that out? Absolutely. Let's see what it is. So what are some possible barriers? Fear of vulnerability, okay? Fear of vulnerability. I'm the authority. I'm responsible for maintaining the order in this class. If I show any weakness, these kids are going to take advantage of it. Relax. You are the authority. It's not under question. Let your actions dictate that, okay? You set clear boundaries and show respect. It will be reciprocated over time. Trust and believe that. Okay? Trust and believe that. Students respond to authenticity. They really do. If you show them respect, they will respect you. I'm not saying that it's perfect. That's not what I'm saying. But they will respect you. It will decrease the amount of disrespect that you experience simply by setting clear boundaries and showing them respect. Burnout. Again, trying to perform for 7 to 8 hours a day, 180 days a year, it will burn you out. Okay? It burns you out. So you have to learn how to balance, right? You have to learn how to balance, letting go some of that, control, letting students have voice, letting students have self-management. We're teaching them these things. That way, I don't have to try to control everything. And honestly, if I'm just being myself, I'm less likely to burn out because what? I'm being self-aware. I'm reflecting on my practices. I'm looking at how I'm approaching my students, and I'm making adjustments to improve on that based on their interests, based on their voice, based on their feedback. I'm being authentic with them. I'm not just, oh yeah, tell me how you feel about this. Okay, that's good. And then I never use it, right? So I can have that balance. And then balancing professionalism. Some people feel like if they share a little bit of themselves, the kids are going to take advantage of that. Yeah, if you let them. Notice, we didn't say trying to be their friend. I don't have to be your friend in order to have a relationship with you. We have a clear set of expectations, a respectful set of expectations. I don't need to reiterate that I'm the authority. You already know that. So let's talk about some ways that we can improve while still maintaining that professionalism. You may have to remind them. That's okay. It's a learning process for both sides. Students never forget how teachers made them feel. We talked about that in one of the previous slides. So what are some of the keys to remember? Authenticity builds trust. If I believe you're being genuine with me, I'm more likely to share more with you. And the more I share with you, the more information you have as the teacher in order to address my learning needs. Consistency matters. And if you're being yourself, you can be yourself any day, every day, right? Plain and simple. So consistency matters. And then relationships improve achievement. So let's take it a step further. Let's reflect a little bit. What authentic traits do I demonstrate? Stop and think about that for a second. After this video ends, stop and think about this question. What authentic traits do I demonstrate in the classroom? You know, am I honest with my students? Am I empathetic? Do I give them a voice in the classroom? Do I demonstrate respect to them? Okay. Another question I want you to ask, what authenticity strategies work best in your classroom? Like I said, I gave you a list. Some of them might not work in your classroom because it doesn't fit who you are. So pause for a second. What does work in your classroom, or what do you think will work in your classroom? Let's start there. Like I said, take small steps. Pick one, implement it, see if it works. If it's working, cool. I have a new tool in my bag. If it doesn't, I throw that one out. I try a different. But I want it to be relatable to me and my students, right? I want it to work for both of us. And these are things we can contemplate and reflect on as we move forward to be more authentic in our teaching. All right. I hope that was helpful. Remember, students respect authenticity. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time. We hope